All right, we are back here, wrapping up the podcast, doing some pop culture this week, diving into the world of John Wick with probably the biggest John Wick stan on the planet, another John, our movie critic, Jon Stanko. John, how are you?
That's a lot of John for one sentence. I'm doing well, Mike. How are you?
Doing pretty good. I was trying to confuse the listeners there with all the John, see how many they could count in that sentence.
I mean, to be fair, he's also referenced as Jonathan in the films as well. And my full name is Jonathan. So you could say that me and John Wick are the same person.
This is true. You are like the alternate universe version of John Wick.
Oh my God! If only I was as cool as John Wick. I'm sorry, I wouldn't be on the podcast with you. I'd be solving international conspiracies all across the globe.
Yeah, but then again, you could also say you're cool for social media purposes in terms of your day job.
Yeah, I guess so. Can you imagine a John Wick character running an Icy Gales social media account? That'd be like a satire SNL skit of putting John Wick behind a desk.
Hey, and John Wick material was used to promote an Iona home game this year.
Yes, it was. You stole a thunder of a point I was going to make, but for sure, the John Wick soundtrack has made a couple rounds in highlights and material here. So, and guess what? It's going to be used in the future as well.
I'm sure it will, and I will say I've been working down that DVD queue gaming column months back. I got through all the Wicks. I got through Star is Born last week. You were right about that. I was weeping at the end, as you said I would.
You're goddamn right. That cut to Bradley Cooper, the singing on the piano during that final song.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Literally,
that was a puddle.
All the feels at once.
Oh, I cried 5 times in that movie. Yeah. I can tell you. I cried when she sang Chalice for the first time. I cried when Bradley Cooper and her talked in therapy. I cried when Bradley Cooper said that he stole the voice of his brother. I cried when Bradley Cooper hung himself. And then I cried during the final song. Those are the 5 times I cried.
Yeah, I was definitely right there on a couple of those, including right at the end where he does hang himself. And I know this technically is a spoiler for A Star is Born, but
oh my God, this came out 3 years ago. Come on,
I know. I know that, but obviously, you know me, I'm a big dog person. So I see the dog laying outside the garage when he's about to hang himself. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, I'm not a dog person, so that didn't affect me. Though to be fair, the person I watched it with the first time, she wept into a puddle because of the dog. So yeah. She was right there. I was not focused on the dog.
Yeah, you were focused on Bradley Cooper.
I was focused on the tone, and yes, I was focused on that.
Yeah. We'll go back to the Wick thing now. So, John Wick 1, 2, 3. I had the interesting experience. I basically watched them 3 weeks in a row. I guess as soon as I got the DVD, I popped it in, watched some special features, sent them back. When did you get into the John Wick franchise?
Man, I got in right from the get-go. I was there in 2014 when this came out. I saw it, and I pushed this franchise on absolutely anybody who would listen. Mike, this movie it's literally made for me. It's action that is self-aware. It creates its own universe without treating the audience like it's stupid. It treats the audience like it's smart and lets it figure out its own rule. And also it pays homages to other styles of movies as well, like samurai, like Western movies, like other action movies. The John Wick universe was made for Jon Stanko, and I got in right from the get-go in 2014.
Yeah, I can do this, and also I could see why. I watched it. I'm like, this is totally the Jon Stanko fantasy world. Here is the John Wick world. I could see John having so much fun. You got to play in that world.
Oh my God, if I had action figures, I would create myself in the John Wick universe. No joke. If I was a kid watching John Wick, I would probably make myself an assassin, befriend John Wick, and we would kick crime together, and we meet up for big missions. I would 100% do that. And I'd lie to you if I haven't fantasized about doing such things while I'm on runs and stuff like that. But yeah. It's made for me. I love John Wick.
Yeah, and for the uninitiated, can you give me the brief elevator pitch on the sort of the story, the world John Wick is in?
I mean, so in all transparency, I wrote out this very flowing and over colorful synopsis that I was going to read as the elevator pitch. But just imagine a man who's in a life that he excels at but doesn't feel satisfaction. He finds love. That love is taken away. And then the only reminder of that love is brutally killed right in front of him, just days after the love of his life dies. And then this man of conviction, of respect, is now filled with rage and revenge and a sense of duty. And he will do anything to fulfill those sentiments that are within. That is John Wick in a nutshell.
Yeah, and the thing that he loses that basically starts the rampage in the next three movies is a dog, which I do want to call you out on because you said you are not a dog person, and John Wick is probably the biggest dog guy in pop culture I've ever seen. So how do you reconcile that as somebody who's notably gone on record saying as he hates dogs?
Okay, so I don't hate dogs. Here's the thing. I'm going to come clear on this. This is anyone who knows me is listening to this. I am not a dog pet person. If I have a choice in life, I will never own a pet dog. This is a fact. Now, I know if I'm dating someone or if, God forbid, I get married someday, God bless that woman, whatever that is, I may need to get a dog because I'm not going to have a choice. And I understand that. However, I will never have a pet dog myself. But with that being said, I understand it as a plot device and as people being very connected to dogs, that this would be very emotional for John Wick. And it wasn't just about the dog. It was about the sentiment of that his wife, who died suddenly, sent this as a token of her love because she knew him so well that he needed something to care for. And that thing was taken away from him.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, I understand from your point now how you view it, and I do love it. It drives the thing. I love his new dog he picks up to at the end of the first movie. He rescues the dog from being euthanized at the pound, and the dog basically is his best friend for life, the best trained dog I've ever seen, too.
Also, can we talk about how the pit bull at the end of John Wick 1 is the perfect animal to represent John Wick? He is a quiet, stern-looking dog, but John Wick is a killer at heart. He's dangerous at heart. If you get on his bad side, he will come after you, which is like a pit bull. He's also very disciplined. He's very good at what he does. He obeys by a set of rules, and rules are very key motifs to John Wick universe, and his dog, which has no name, obeys all the rules that John Wick tells him to. So again, a very fitting dog for John Wick, the character.
Indeed. We're not going to waste time summarizing the movie because you got to watch them yourself. The plot is really kind of inconsequential. You're really in there for the fight scenes, the action, all that good stuff. So quickly.
Sure, but I have a funny story. I have a funny story about the dog. So before we close out on the dog,
sure.
Can I tell the funny story?
Sure, go ahead. Tell the dog story.
I'm dating someone. She's never seen John Wick before, and we're at her family's house, and we're gonna watch John Wick. She says, "All right, I'll watch John Wick with you tonight," and I go, "Yes, I'm so excited." Now I know she's a huge dog person, massive, owns pet dogs, fosters dogs, huge dog person. So I knew the scene was gonna absolutely rip her apart and shock her. We're out at campfire, half an hour before we're gonna start watching this movie, and her neighbor. We're talking about John Wick, and her neighbor goes, "Wait, is that the movie where the dog dies in the first 10 minutes?" And I go, "No!" And my girlfriend looks at me and goes, "You are going to make me watch a movie where a dog dies?" and we did not watch John Wick because this neighbor, it was like a 13-year-old girl that obviously like no ill will at all, but just completely took John Wick away from my girlfriend and I, that experience of watching it together. But it's a very funny story to tell.
It is funny, and now you will never get to experience it with that girlfriend.
No, I will not. No, I don't think she's ever going to watch John Wick. But I will, every time I talk to her, I'll let her know she still needs to see it.
Yeah, so speaking of that, now we got the funny story out of the way. I did enjoy that story. Let's quickly power rank them, like in terms of best to worst, and that's really relevant because they're all very good. So what order are you watching them in if you had a pick?
No, I mean, you watched them in order they came out, but if I were to power rank them, I would go John Wick Chapter 2 is the best, followed by John Wick Chapter 3, followed by the original. So I go 2, 3, 1.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting call. I think I would actually go reverse. I go 3, 2, 1.
Okay, some people have said there are definitely some elements of 3 that I like more than Chapter 2, but I'm sure we'll get into a little bit more. But I'm pretty steadfast that Chapter 2 is the best overall movie.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The runtime is tight on 2, and you got a good motivation there. You got the good backstory of the elements of the assassin world in 2. You get a lot more information in there. It gets expanded in 3. I think that does enhance the movie a little bit.
I think Chapter 2 is the best story of the 3. Well, maybe besides 1, but Chapter 2 blends the action with the story best. I think Chapter 3 has the best action set pieces. It has some of my favorite fight scenes in the entire franchise. But the story does go a little bonkers in some places, and even I was like, "This is far-fetched. This is a little weird." But Chapter 2 was a perfect blend of story and action.
Yeah, I think my ranking is based more on the action because 3 has the best action throughout because the types of different fights you're getting throughout 3 are very interesting. 1 is basically like you're getting gun fu the entire movie basically, and you're getting fights with ninjas in 3. You're getting all sorts of crazy stuff happening in there. That stuff all appeals to me. Just like seeing John fight in all these different ways.
Yeah, I mean, John Wick is a very well-versed fighter. He knows many different styles of fighting, much like he knows every single language imaginable, too, even sign language. So you can't get past John Wick.
You cannot. And speaking of the fight scenes, what is your favorite fight scene in all 3 movies?
All right, well, Mike, if we're being honest, I have all 16 major fight scenes ranked. So, I mean, if we're going to go, I'm going to list my top 5 really fast for you.
Okay.
My top 5. Number 5 is the fight at the Continental in John Wick 3 that involves the fist and the sword. So after that initial gunfight, this is with the fist and the sword. That's at the Continental. That's number 5. Number 4, feel free to chime in too if you have opinions on these fights before I start rambling about these fights. Number 4 is the fight at the Red Circle Club in John Wick 1. This is the moment where I knew I loved this movie forever when this fight scene took place. Yeah. When this gunfight took place in the club with that music score, I was like, this is magical. I'm in love with John Wick.
That fight was phenomenal. Like that was the one where it got me in here too. And like I was all in after that fight, seeing him basically fight his way through the club, try and catch up with the guy who stole his car and killed his dog.
Yeah, so that's number 4. Number 3 is when John Wick is escaping the basically other hitmen after he fulfills his marker in John Wick 2. So he's escaping Cassian. He's going through, again, that disco club setting in the Coliseum, and then going into catacombs underneath of the secret tunnels where he hides the shotgun and hides the precision rifle, and he's just kicking ass, and like the way they fight at the tunnels with the gun. Again, that fight scene is so beautifully made, and then you get the hand-to-hand with Cassian landing in the Continental where they can't fight anymore. It flows beautifully. I absolutely love that fight scene. That was great. Number 2 is the knife fight in John Wick 3. It's just brutal, incredibly creative and imaginable. Like I love the fight scene in John Wick 3. And then number 1 is the Casablanca fight scene from John Wick 3 because it has everything. It has killer dogs. It has Halle Berry kicking ass. It has John Wick just being a total badass. It has absolutely everything in this fight scene. It stretches so much longer than I remember every single time I watch it. It's lovely. It is lovely. So the top 2 fight scenes are from John Wick 3, like you said, which was the best action movie, the pure action of the 3.
Yeah, I like those fights. I also intrigued with some of the ones where it's not like where he has to sort of like draw it out a little bit, has to sort of like try and anticipate moves. Like I like the fights in like the halls with the mirrors, like the one at the end of John Wick 2. I thought was a lot of fun when he's basically
that ranked number 7.
Yeah, I like that one. I like his fight with Zero too, and Zero's agents in the in that glass room in the Continental in 3. I love that fight, seeing like him try and deal with those guys and having to go through the levels of fighters to get to Zero. I thought that was fun.
Yeah, that's the one I have at number 5. He's leveling up boss level, and that it's basically the entire Continental sequence is his just taking on different bosses of different levels. But it's so well done. You got you mentioned 2 straight movies where they use mirrors and they use glass really well with John Wick Chapter 2 and John Wick Chapter 3.
Yeah, I was captivated with that mirror sequence at the end of 3, as when he was going through the level up sequence, especially that second level when they were you were basically trying to figure out where was actually like a pass through and where was a mirror, and that was fun trying to figure that out.
Yeah, it was great. It's so to film using mirrors that extensively. I can only imagine how hard that is trying to light that, trying to frame every shot right so you get the reflection. I can only imagine how difficult that is to make and how precise you need to be. So to do that twice in 2 different movies, incredibly well done.
It is incredibly well done, and they're starting to take the fights international. I mean, we do have a lot of fights in New York. The fight with Boban in the library, I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, when he's escaping the people, yeah. That one, I mean, Boban broke the rules. He was going after John Wick too early. He had to pay for it. Yeah. There's no way he could survive.
Yeah.
Also, that's such a creative kill to kill somebody with the book. I love that. Such a creative kill.
Yeah.
And he puts the book back on it because he knows that nobody's going to check out that Russian book that he checked out. Love it.
I also love how this world, they're so desensitized to all the like assassin killings going on around them, and you see people in the back of the library just kind of on their computers doing the research while this fight's going on, not even flinching.
Well, that's the thing. It's just like this is his own world. John Wick is in his own world, and I love how they don't call attention to it, which is why it works. It lets you hone in on it, and again, it doesn't treat the audience like it's stupid. It lets the audience figure out that this is what's important. Everything else is around it. It's just there's a spotlight on John Wick and the world around it, the world that nobody knows, and these movies are shining a light on it.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I just the biggest example of that is when he comes back from Casablanca after meeting with the Elder. He's dressed in all black, ready to kill Winston, psyching up to do it, and then he has people just taking out assassins as he's walking up Grand Central as there's hundreds of people and like prime Grand Central like just
Terminal.
transit.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And there's bodies and blood on the floor. They're just walking by. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been in that terminal many times when I was interning, and like I walked up that exact tunnel that he was walking up to when he first meets Zero's men. And I'm like, this is so interesting. Like I could just see like this kind of bizarro world in New York City basically coming out here.
Listen, I would love to live in that bizarre world of New York City. Count me in.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll love the opportunity to stay at the Continental.
The Continental has fantastic service.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I will need the gold points to go to the bar underneath, so that secret bar, because the service there was impeccable. They knew everybody's drink order.
Yeah.
They probably know my favorite drink that I don't even know.
Yeah. I can see them just pass it to you like, you'll like this. Trust us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, surprise me. You'll do it right.
Yeah, and speaking of the fight scenes, obviously there's a lot based in New York. We had the Casablanca sequence in Chapter 3. I feel they're going to go more international as this series progresses. So where are some international locations you would want to see them stage some fights in the future movies?
All right, so here I have 3 ideas here for future fight scenes. All right, here are my 3 ideas. Feel free to chime in if you have some of the same ideas or if you have ideas. I have 3. So the first one, this is the one that I immediately thought out. We have not had a water-based fight scene yet, whether it be on a boat, whether it be on a yacht, whether it be in a submarine. We have not had John Wick surrounded by water when in a fight. No jet skis anywhere like that. I guarantee you in the next movie we're going to have something of this variety. I don't know what, but it's going to happen. We have not seen John Wick surrounded by water in a fight scene yet, which needs to happen. Maybe they're fighting in an aquarium, and so there's water all around him, and if they want to use the ideas of reflections in mirrors again, they could use the glass of the aquarium where the animals are being held. They could do that sort of thing as well if they wanted to. I'm just thinking outside the box here, Mike. Just thinking there's got to be some sort of water fighting that needs to happen.
John Wick and SeaWorld?
John Wick and SeaWorld, maybe. I don't know. I'm thinking at an exotic foreign yacht club where there's a ton of big ass boats lined up all around. And he starts kicking ass, hopping from boat to boat. And then there's definitely going to be some jet ski sequence where he's got to kill some people while on a jet ski. That's kind of what I'm picturing.
So more like Dubai, maybe.
Maybe Dubai, something along those lines, or like off the coast of Greece,
yeah,
or something like that.
That's not a good one.
Yeah. So, second fight scene, which I think we haven't really seen yet, is we have not seen John Wick in a very cold environment. We've seen him fight in the heat of Casablanca. We've seen him in the desert. We have not seen him with a parka. We have not seen John Wick tack for the cold. When are we going to see that? That may happen. Now, I'm thinking that this happens in northern Russia, perhaps the homeland of his upbringing for the theater, which we learned about in Chapter 3. They're from Belarus, I believe, is where he said he was from, where they said they were from. So a place in the cold like that, somewhere in Russia, where John Wick gets to fight in the Arctic.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Although I hope they don't go the Rocky forward and have him making our speech to a Politburo at the end of his fight scene.
No, we hope not. John Wick's a man of few words. He would not say anything like that.
Yeah.
And then my third one is more of a symbolic sort of thing, where they go to Paris, France, and there's a fight in the catacombs underneath Paris. Now, the reason this is symbolic is because John Wick is lost in a maze. That is what the Elder says. It says that he's lost. It's at John Wick Chapter 3. You could have John Wick lost in the catacombs, literally surrounded by death. He is literally surrounded by bones and skulls, which have surrounded him his entire life. And he is still lost trying to find his way out. And he needs to fight his way out, literally in the catacombs of Paris. So that's my third possible solution where we could see a future John Wick fight.
Yeah, I think I like all of those. What I was thinking of is like building off of the ninja theme we had a little bit in 3. I like to see him go sort of like an Asian locale, have like a fight scene in the middle of like China or like Japan, where like he's in one of these like swarming cities where they have people flowing all over the place. It's not because New York is not the same thing as like being in the middle of a crowded set of streets in China or in Japan, like, and seeing like some different ninjas coming after. I think that could be a lot of fun.
That could be fun. I imagine that if it's in Oriental setting, a lot like the opening to John Wick Chapter 2, when they don't show his face for like the first 10 minutes and he's killing people quietly. If you literally get him in like a ninja costume in an Oriental setting, like just jumping off of roofs and killing people to get to like his main target. That's what I kind of picture when you bring up ninjas and stuff like that.
Yeah, I wonder if you could. I would have probably have the budget now because they made so much money. Like I might even get him near the Great Wall of China digitally, even just digitally, just doing stuff like there.
No, they could get on the Great Wall of China. I have no doubt.
Yeah, that would be fun to see this happen. And I think your idea of the cold weather John Wick fight, I think that's the most likely one to come in for.
I would definitely agree. I would definitely agree because there's so many loose strings that they allowed with the family that kind of rose him where he trained in that theater. With the director, she has no name, Angelica Houston, just with no name, just known as the director. They left a lot of strings there that can be pulled for Chapter 4.
Yeah, they did. And speaking of pulling some strings, we're gonna actually pull a draft right now. We're gonna do a draft in this podcast. Maybe it's set up for something we're doing in a coming week, but we're gonna do a 3-round draft we're gonna build an assassin squad here based on characters we've seen in the first 3 movies here. Ground rule here is you cannot take John Wick. John Wick would basically become the king of any team he's on, so he's exempt from the draft.
Fair enough.
Okay, since you are the guest and you are the Wick expert, I'll give you the first choice. We'll alternate picks. Who are you going to take your first pick?
Oh, this is so difficult. I was hoping for pick number 2 so you can make my mind up easier. Because to me, there's 2 easy number 1 options.
Okay.
But I am going to go with Zero as my number 1 pick. 1, because he's hilarious. Love him. He's a character. He keeps things light. He cracks jokes. Also, he's incredibly deadly. He has his own bunch of students, too, where if you needed to call in reinforcements, he teaches his own group of assassins. Now, granted, not as good as John Wick, because John Wick kills them all. But Zero, he has an army of his own. He's also very well respected in his own right. People follow him and they respect him. He was called upon by the adjudicator to get rid of Wick. So obviously, she's a woman of high power, so she knew that Zero stood a chance. But nobody stands a chance against John Wick. But Zero would be my number 1 pick in this draft.
That was a good choice because he was somebody I would have taken with my first pick. Because Zero, like, again, I also love Zero's, like, absolute fandom of John Wick throughout the movie. He's, like, coming up, like, everybody goes up to him. I remember they're sitting in the Continental, like, I'm a big fan, by the way. I just love that moment.
Yeah, he's funny. He's a unique character, and I would love to know what the pitch was for that character if they came in being he's going to be this quirky, or if that was a choice of the actor to be like, listen, I'm going to make this character my own because he made it work.
Yeah, he did make it work. My first pick is I'm going to go to Sophia, also from John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, just because watching her scene where she's fighting with Wick and Casablanca, I mean, she's got the gun skills, she's got the knife skills, she's got the dogs trained to attack. I feel like that's so much versatility you want on your squad. I have to take Sophia as my first pick.
Well, I mean, of course you like dogs, so that's going to be your first pick. I'm going to be honest, she was not even in my top 10.
Really?
So, yeah, she was not even in my top 10.
Okay.
And she's got too much loyalty to the dog. If someone threatens her dog, she goes crazy. You can't have that.
Yeah.
You got to have no strings attached.
Yeah, well.
But, I mean, to be fair, she was part of the best fight scene in the entire franchise, too. So, I get it.
Yeah, it's like the absolute display of like excellent skills throughout that fight. That's probably the longest fight we've seen in the entire franchise. Like being able to hold up against that many people that long. I think only Wick has done other than that. So I like my chance of having her on the squad.
All right, that's a fair number 1 pick. I understand it. Right. I understand it.
So where are you going with your next pick?
Listen, my 1B pick is still on the board, and I am ecstatic to welcome Cassian on my squad.
Yeah.
Played by Common. This man is loyal to a T defending Gianna D'Antonio. He also has that wit and banter with Wick that I like. The respect for one another. You working? Yeah. Good night. Yeah. Like, he understands the job. He's also incredibly talented. He predicted Wick's escape and fought him all the way to the Continental. Also, he's just so cool. Just a cool dude. You got to have that cool factor on the team. So, Cassian, welcome to my squad.
I love that pick as well. Cassian is always a great guy. I love the respect he has for Wick. He's like, hey, like, I know you had to do this, but I have to take care of you because you killed the person I was guarding. Like the true honor and loyalty of the code here. I do respect that.
Yeah,
pick.
I mean, listen. Yeah, Wick killed his ward. Cassian was forever loyal to his ward. So if I get that Cassian loyalty, I'm all on board.
Yeah, so that's a good second pick. I'm going with my next pick. I'm actually going with Ares, also from Chapter 2, played by Ruby Rose. Like, I just think also the fact that, like, she doesn't talk and she's, like, just literally the definition of the silent assassin, and just the display of moves she had, the work she was doing in the scene with the mirrors. Like, I think she gave Wick a real run for his money at points in that movie. I think Ares is my second pick.
All right. She was on my board a little bit lower down, though. She didn't kick enough ass for me. She didn't kill enough people. She was not as ruthless as I wish that she could be. I wish we saw her more deadly in Chapter 2.
Okay, that's fair.
So her snack talk was really good.
Yeah, and I love the fact that, like, literally not need to say a word and can still kick ass.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. But I mean, John Wick got the last word silently.
Yeah, John Wick gets the last word on everybody, so that's not really a fair argument to make.
This is true. This is true.
All right, so you have one more pick. Where are you going with your pick?
One more pick. Again, I'm going back to loyalty. I'm going back to a dear friend, a friend that helped John Wick in all of his moments of need, even when Wick didn't know it, and that is Marcus. We cannot forget Marcus. He was that original friend that helped John Wick when he needed it most, back when he was most rusty, just getting back into the game. He's a sharpshooter. We have the long-range approach, which you need on a team. You need someone with that long-sight ability to watch over the two other assassins who are going in tight. We got Marcus onto the squad. I also think Marcus's wisdom and his elderly mentality would reel in the craziness of Zero, and it would also keep Cassian cool. If Cassian needed to vent, Marcus would listen. So he's kind of the glue that holds Zero and Cassian together. Marcus is my final pick.
Yeah, that's a good pick because Marcus in the beginning of the movie, I liked how they played with his loyalty where you weren't sure whose side he was on. At the end, he's revealed on Wick's side, and then he dies for Wick. I do love his level-headedness, and he does do a good job sort of like bringing the two like rogue elements together into one team.
Yeah, he does. Listen, I like my squad. Zero, Cassie, and Marcus. I got a good squad.
Yeah.
You should be worried, Mike.
Yeah, I should be, but I do have one more pick to go with. I had two I was deciding between, but I am going with the guy who made his big fighting debut in the last movie, and I was very excited he did. I'm taking Sharon with my last pick.
Sharon was my number 4 pick, so I have nothing bad to say about Sharon. Absolutely love the guy. I have nothing bad to say. It's a great pick.
Yeah, Sharon, I mean, he's loyal throughout the movies. He's got the skills to hook up with whatever you need. He's willing to take care of John Wick's dog when John Wick is not there. He's shown he's capable in the fight when that compound's being stormed by assassins. Like, all of his staff die, but he find a way to keep himself alive, kick some ass, keep reloading weapons. He showed a vast arsenal of knowledge there with the weapons and had some skills to offer here. I do think he brings a little bit of technical know-how to the team as well. So I like Sharon to round out my group.
That's true. Sharon also dog sits, so it would be good for Sophia. Sophia needs to go on vacation. I get it. You and the dogs. I get it. They're the binding glue of your team.
It is the binding glue of my team. And I mean, like, of the people who did not get picked, like, who you think would have been the next best value on the board?
Oh, next best value or next best person I want on my team? Let's see. I would want a Winston on my team. Now, Winston, he's been with the Continental, I believe he says for 4 decades.
Yeah.
So the man's seen a lot. Also, Ian McShane is delightful in these 3 movies. So I would love his wit on my team. So he'd probably be my number 4 pick. And my number 5 pick would be the Bowery King.
Yes.
Because strictly for the line where Lawrence Fishburne roars, "Get this man a gun." Just a wonderful line reading that immediately made me fall in love with the character. I was like, I don't care what else he does. That line reading was magic.
Yeah.
I want to know how many takes that took.
Yeah.
But if I had two honorable mentions, it'd be Winston and the Bowery King.
Yeah, I think we also agree. I don't think we can go near Miss Perkins because she would completely screw our team over the first chance she got.
Yes, I would agree. But to be fair, if we're being fair to Miss Perkins, she got the drop on Wick.
Yeah.
Wick wasn't ready for it. Wick only survived because Marcus.
Yeah. He did only survive because Marcus. Marcus warned him with that sniper shot.
Exactly. That's why you got to have Marcus on your team.
Yeah, so I'm going to put a Twitter poll up after this podcast comes out, and we'll see who the people think did a better job in this draft, either me or you. I think you might win the poll on popularity, but it'll be interesting to see what this vote comes down to.
I don't know. Sharon's a very popular character. Sharon was, people after seeing John Wick Chapter 3, they were like, I'm proud we got to see Sharon kick ass. So yeah. I'm a little bit worried about that third pick for you, but I love my squad. I'm very happy with my squad.
Yeah, that poll's going to be going up on Twitter after this episode drops, and I think that's about it on the Wick front. And I do want to go to the other news of the week, and this is going to be quite the segue, going from John Wick to the musical that has taken the country by storm, the Hamill film. I know you saw it. I know you were a big fan.
Yeah, I mean, the Hamilton movie was a sight to behold, though. I mean, I'm right now, for being honest, Mike, I'm brainstorming segues you can make between John Wick and Hamilton. You could say the music in John Wick was almost as good as the music in Hamilton. You could say there are guns in John Wick and guns play a major part in Hamilton. I'm thinking of the segues. But anyways, my mind's racing. Hamilton was great on Disney Plus, Mike.
Yeah.
Strictly put, this movie had a ton of hype, right? The play has a ton of hype. And it exceeded my expectations. The play is magic. It is wonderfully shot and directed, which I think is a crowning achievement to make a play on Broadway on a stage look this lively on screen and to be able to engulf you like it does as if you were in the theater watching it. So I love Hamilton. I have listened to the soundtrack 3 times since it came out. I've watched it once and I'm probably going to watch it again with my sister at one point. I loved it. Yeah,
it was great. I got to say, a lot of fun. And this is one thing I'm curious about because I think, obviously it killed. I'm wondering, is this something you think we could see for other popular Broadway shows being turned into movies? I think it's just a Hamilton thing. That Hamilton was just such a lightning rod that everyone knows it. Everyone knows the soundtrack. Everyone knows the original cast was phenomenal, and they want to see that. Or you think it could translate some other popular Broadway shows?
This is a really tricky subject, I think. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know Broadway well enough where I could speak on it fully, but just my kind of standpoint is that everybody should be able to see Broadway plays, and they are expensive. I couldn't see Hamilton live on Broadway. I wish I could. I just couldn't afford it. So part of me wants to say, yes, put this for every play so we could see it and so everyone can experience Broadway in the theater, even if you can't afford it, if you're not near New York or near another major city that has theater like this. So part of me wants that. Part of me is also not every play is Hamilton, though. You know what I mean? Not every play is a cultural icon. Not every play is an international success. Off the top of my head, I can list maybe 4 or 5 plays that I would sit down and watch in a cinematic form like Hamilton. But I've seen plays where I have no interest in seeing it in that way, shape, or form. So it's a very delicate balance, I think, because I don't think every play deserves it. But how do you tell what play deserves it and what play doesn't when there's only a few plays that I can ever know that live up to the hype that Hamilton did? So it's a very tricky subject, but to me, you can't do it for everyone. You could do it for the big ones that are universally beloved. It's tough to define those because it changes for everybody. It's a delicate situation, though.
It is delicate. I think it depends on what the level lives, because obviously Hamilton was well hyped even outside of the Broadway world for a while. I think if something like that happens, you could get away with it, but I think it has to be a special kind of musical to get the film treatment and succeed, like Hamilton did.
Yeah, I mean, just running through my head, plays that I've either seen on Broadway or would like to see in the cinematic way. Les Miserables, I would love to see a play like this. I love the Tom Hooper musical. I know it's divisive, but I'm a huge fan of Les Mis. And the movie that came out back, I think it was 2012 or 13, I would love to see it on the stage in a cinematic way. I would love to see the Book of Mormon, which is the funniest play I've ever seen. Would love to see that, especially with the original cast if possible. I would love to see Chicago. I never saw the play, but I love the movie, and I think the lighting and the songs of that could really be captivating. I believe that was nominated for Best Picture, if I recall.
It was, 2002.
The movie. Yeah, so I would love to see that play. Now, this is one that's going to be controversial because the movie that came out in December stunk, but Cats, the play.
Yeah.
I personally wouldn't, but Mike, it's an iconic play. Arguably the longest running Broadway play of all time. It might be. It's definitely up there if it's not. But the movie in December was so bad. Is there any way that can come back in a Broadway form and live up to what people would expect, into what people would watch? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's definitely tricky because this is also something you also have to realize that this was on a streaming platform, so it did well. This is supposed to be in the box office originally. How well do you think this would have done? Is actually you were paying $13.95 for a movie ticket to go see it at a theater, as opposed to paying for your Disney Plus subscription to get it?
I think this movie would have made a killing. It has three key ingredients. It has Disney for one, so it has a Disney stamp of approval. Almost anything that Disney puts its name on makes money. It's a known property, right? People know about it before they go to the theater. That's the biggest thing that Marvel has going for it, is they know Marvel or they know Star Wars. People are going to go see it if it's a known commodity and they kind of know what to expect. It's in the zeitgeist. People reference it all the time. And also it is interactivity because it's singing. Any movie with singing that has any sense of coherence is going to catch on a little bit. You think of A Star is Born. You think of the Mamma Mia movies. They made a profit as well. There are very few musical movies that do absolutely nothing in terms of theater attendance because it has that interactivity. Think of Trolls World Tour came out on streaming, and that did incredibly well because it has songs and singing, and people can understand that. And it's a universal thing that people can appreciate when it's good. So you have those three things of Disney, a known property, and fantastic singing and music. I think it would have made a killing.
Yeah, I could see the logic behind that. I think that makes some sense. And John, I want to thank you for all your time today. Before I let you go, obviously, we do the streaming thing every week. We always ask what some stuff you've been keeping up with on the streaming platforms while we wait for our sports to come back. And hopefully we're close. But what's some stuff you've been keeping an eye on?
Oh, man. I've watched 10 movies in the past 7 days, so I've been watching a lot. You'll appreciate this. I watched the Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice Ultimate Edition today. Which has another half hour of footage, not in the original. But in terms of good movies I've seen recently, Bad Education on HBO was excellent. Blow the Man Down on the Amazon Prime was very good. Athlete A on Netflix was incredible. An incredible documentary. And the two best shows I'm watching right now are Perry Mason and I'll Be Gone in the Dark, both on HBO.
Yeah, I'm watching I'll Be Gone in the Dark too. That's fantastic. Extremely well done.
It's incredibly well done. It's eerie. It's incredibly. It's a gross tale of negligence, and finally the guy got caught. But it's also very inspiring that somebody took the initiative to do this and to solve the case even after all these years. So HBO. You put them in a limited series surrounding a serial killer, they're going to knock it out of the park. They just do.
They always do. And I'm also watching on Netflix. Have you seen the Unsolved Mysteries reboot?
I have not, but it has been referenced to me a couple times. I'm watching a couple different shows on Netflix. I'm going to finish before I get to that, though. But it is in my queue. Yeah,
definitely get to it. It's a lot of fun. If you watch the original at any point, I think it's going to be very interesting to see that. And I did watch a couple of the episodes of it. It still has its fastball. It's still got some great stories to tell, and they do make you think about some things. It's also interesting that some people that having these in the age of Reddit is fun because the first case somebody claims they may have found a lead on one of the cases based on some of the plot points they made to Reddit.
Yeah, even in I'll Be Gone in the Dark, they kind of touch upon that true crime community that kind of it sucks you in a little bit and you get addicted to it. And now in the time of Reddit, it's only amplified even more. So I'm definitely going to check it out at some point. Every time I open up Netflix, it's the first thing that I see. It's basically punching me in the face to watch it.
Yeah, it is. And apparently, I saw today, Netflix apparently has added 15 episodes of the classic game show Supermarket Sweep. And that was something I was like a guilty pleasure when I was a kid. I will definitely be checking that out.
I have never heard of or seen that show. I have no idea.
It's hilarious. I will say that.
Was it on the Food Network? Because if it's on the Food Network, I've never seen it.
It was not on the Food Network. It was like a syndicated game show back in the day where people basically had to like. It's sort of like the Price is Right component of like pricing in a supermarket. Then basically them trying to like run around the supermarket, do crazy things like stocking their carts full of meat. It was like just so absurd watching them do this. And it was so funny. I always love to go back to it.
I mean, there's another show on Netflix, The Floor is Lava, that people were watching as mindless entertainment.
Yeah.
I did not start that one, but that was another game show Netflix put out that got a little bit of pub.
Yeah, Sandra Rosa mentioned that last week when she was on. Said she's been checking that out. So it's basically the equivalent like a Nickelodeon kids show, like back in the day, of like the Legends of the Hidden Temple or stuff or Guts or stuff like that.
I mean, this may horrify you, but I've never seen Guts or Legends of the Hidden Temple, so that passed me by.
Yeah, that's a shame. You should have checked that out. That was definitely an error.
I mean, our mutual friend Stephen Colta was ashamed at the fact that I'd never seen those shows. So he holds it over my head. He makes me feel bad about it all the time.
Yeah, he does. And next week, you're actually going to be back next week. We are doing something special for our baseball opening day edition of the podcast. We are actually doing a baseball movie draft next week. I'm excited for this.
I mean, listen, it's a little bit of a teaser of the baseball season. Sports on the way to coming back. No guarantee, but at least they've taken those first steps. And I mean, why not have a baseball draft? It's going to invigorate me to watch the movies either I haven't seen or that I want to rewatch. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, we're sort of bringing the pop culture family together here on the podcast. It's going to be me, you, Sam DeRosa, and Alan Austin, who has sort of become the third wheel of the pop culture podcasting team here. So the four of us will be doing a 4-round draft of baseball movies next week, and that's going to be some fun. I'm curious to see where some of these movies go on this list.
I tell you what, though, I believe the three of you are Yankee fans.
I'm not a Yankee fan.
Oh, okay. All right. You're a Mets fan.
Yes.
That's correct. I understand. I feel sorry for you. But the other two are Yankee fans, and you're a Mets fan, so you are a New York fan.
No,
you guys can have those movies.
Alan's actually a Detroit Tigers fan, believe it or not.
What?
I'm serious.
How did I not know that?
You must not be talking to Alan enough.
I mean, I don't talk to Alan enough, but I mean, to be fair, Comerica Ballpark,
yeah,
they have that little dirt strip that goes between home plate and the pitcher's mound. I love that.
Yeah,
I think that is a great little trinket that is on their field, and I used to love that all the time whenever I watch Tigers games.
Yeah,
but man, oh man, I don't know who's suffering worse right now, you or Austin as a Tigers fan. I don't know which one's worse.
I think Alan's definitely suffering worse because the Mets have a shot this year. The Tigers need a lot to go right.
Tigers need a lot to go right over the next 3 years to have any semblance of hope.
Yeah, and as we were talking about this, Alan actually replied to me on Twitter. I remember that ESPN subtweet about the describe your favorite sports movie as boring as possible. I said mine as Field of Dreams. I said, man destroys farm to build a baseball field. And then Alan said, my favorite all-time film.
Well, I think we know what's number one on his draft board. So hopefully maybe someone's going to steal it if he doesn't have the number one pick.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes next week. But, John, thanks for all the time.
He's revealing his strategy.
Yeah, he did reveal his strategy. Not exactly a brilliant move there, but we'll see how the draft goes next week. How can people follow you on social media, John?
Follow me on Twitter at jstanko99, also there on Instagram and on Facebook. And you can follow me on my blog and podcast at stankosstance.wordpress.com.
Yeah, make sure you check out John's review of Hamilton, the film, on there. That was a lot of fun.
Listen, the movie was absolutely great, and I'm lucky to have a sister who knows theater and knows the more technical side of it too, having made costumes and stuff like that. So I had a talk with her, and she was incredibly enlightening and educational about it. So it gave me a new appreciation for Hamilton, despite how good I thought it already was. She only amplified it.
Yeah, indeed. I want to thank you for being on. I also want to thank my other guests for today. You know, this week I talked to Tim Healy from Newsday about the Mets. That was fun. Talked to our friends Will Schneiderhan and Jill Venditti on the Met Fan Forum. And Alan also was actually on right before you, too. We did a little bit of fantasy baseball talk.
Fantasy baseball. It's going to be different this year. It's a 60-game sprint for fantasy baseball. A little bit different drafting strategy. Yeah,
it's some different points of view. Like, my league had drafted before the shutdown happened. So we discussed like a little bit about, how the leagues are approaching this, how you should approach if you're drafting now versus what you did back in March. A lot of different strategies talking about with fantasy baseball.
Listen, I would arm up on those bullpen arms because I don't think the starters are going to be going many innings to begin the year. So that'd be my advice.
Yeah, that would be your advice. And if you want to follow the blog that I'm doing this week, I projected the Mets opening day 30-man roster. I have my thoughts on that. You can check that out over at justendthesuffering.wordpress.com. And spoiler alert, Pete Alonso made the cut.
I'm not surprised by that. He's one of the most exciting young players in baseball.
Indeed. You can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, and Spotify. All the usual suspects there. You also follow my YouTube channel, Mike Phillips, on YouTube. I put the individual segments in the episodes up there, including our chat right now. John's going to be up there in just a short period of time.
Listen, I'll be sharing it on Stanko Stance at WordPress.com too.
Yes,
so, dual Mike Phillips action.
Dual Mike Phillips action. You can also leave your feedback and star ratings as well. They mean a lot. If you have a chance, leave a review. Helps get the podcast more notice. Gets in the eyes of people, ears of people, really, who can help enjoy it, help make it better going forward. You can also follow me on Twitter at mphillips331. That's MPHILIPS 331. And I think we got to come up with a Wick-related hashtag. You have anything in mind, John?
A Wick-related hashtag.
Yeah.
This is... Oh, my God. You put me on the spot.
Yeah.
This is tough to think about. This is...
Yes.
I mean...
So like, where... Yeah, I would say, like... Give me, like, we'll do the hashtag, like, we're going to do it also, do another edition of the poll in the hashtag. So if you like Stanko Squad, tweet me with hashtag Stanko Squad made at the end of the show. If you like Mike Squad, hashtag Mike Squad.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm trying to think of, like, what I would name chapter 4 of John Wick to put as a hashtag, but I'm not creative enough to do that. So yeah, do Stanko Squad, which is going to be the right answer, or you could do Mike Squad, but Stanko Squad's the only correct opinion.
Okay, we'll see about that. We'll see how the people feel. But coming up next week on the podcast, we're going to have our baseball opening day special. Baseball Beat will be here. We'll do over-unders, that baseball movie, draft, and more. Until then, stay safe, everybody.
This has been the Just End the Suffering podcast.
I'm out.